First story. My ex-boyfriend, who I'll call X, ran away from his wedding and came to my place, hoping to try our relationship again. My fiancé and I kicked him out and ended his engagement. I had been with my ex for 2 years, and it wasn't the greatest relationship. We broke up because I moved for college and just didn't want to be with him anymore. It's been almost 5 years since we split, and now I'm engaged to my fiancé, who I truly believe is my soulmate. Last night, around 10 p.m., he rang our doorbell, drunk. He had his bachelor party in my city and decided to see me. When my fiancé opened the door, my ex started crying, saying he couldn't believe my fiancé was real or something like that. We let him into our apartment because he didn't seem dangerous, but then he started throwing up before actually getting sick in our bathroom. From what I understood, he was still hurt from our breakup, thought we could have worked things out, and regretted how he treated me. Eventually, he got himself together and called an Uber to his hotel. It felt strange. He was fine after we gave him some waffles and coffee to help him sober up, and we told him to message us when he got back to his hotel to make sure he was okay. I was left feeling a bit uneasy and almost dirty. Should I contact his future wife? Or encourage him to tell her? Or just do nothing and let this be a story for later? Some people commented, Jay Tenka, put yourself in his wife's position. Would you want to marry someone like him? OP, I guess I would want to know, but I'd prefer if my partner told me. Adept, but would he tell her? If you tell her yourself, you risk not being believed or looking petty. But at least you tried to warn her. Edit. Thanks for all the responses. It seems like Reddit is as unsure about this as I am. My goal in telling her isn't to break them up. I don't want that. I just think that if I were her, I'd want to know. It's not about bragging that he's not over me. I don't care about that. Also, a quick update. I decided contacting the bride wasn't the right choice since we aren't friends. I reached out to his sister, an old friend, to tell her that her brother showed up at my place, drunk and distressed, and to check on him. She thanked me and apologized a lot because it seems my ex has been acting out for a few weeks leading up to his wedding. She asked if I was okay and if her brother had made it back to his hotel since they couldn't find him. I told her he had gotten a ride home and had texted us that he arrived at about 11:30 p.m. She thanked me again, and I haven't heard back since. Another update. His sister called me again asking if he had come by or mentioned where he was. Apparently, he didn't show up for the wedding, and no one knows where he is, so telling the fiancé is now pointless. Some comments. Mrs. Munn, you and your fiancé handled this situation as well as anyone could. Contacting his sister was the best move. Starlight Sparrow. Wow, he left the wedding. That girl dodged a bullet. Psych 89. Wow, hope he's okay. Please let us know if they find him. Update 10 days later. I'm sharing this because I still get a lot of questions. Long story short, he ran away. He decided he didn't want to commit to his fiancée, bailed, and later called to end his engagement. After talking with his sister, my ex's fiancée reached out and was really upset. The best man told her he came to see me. At first, she thought we had something, so we talked about it. I felt bad. She was really upset. We both apologized and I wished her the best. On Saturday, I got a call from his sister. It turns out my ex showed up all the way in France. She called to apologize because my ex had taken one of my lipsticks. I hadn't noticed, but he admitted it to her. She sent me the money to buy a new one. I told her I wasn't mad and asked how she and his ex-fiancée were doing. Everything on their end is a mess, and everyone is mad at him. I don't know much more and didn't want to ask. But that's the gist of it. Some comments. No satisfaction, he stole a lipstick. That's so strange. Who does that? Our guest, he probably just took the first small thing he could find that belonged to you. Second story. We talked about this story a year ago, but there's more to share. I was fired from my job because I bullied someone in high school, and it turned out she was my employee. I confronted her while drunk, and it ruined my life. I've been trying to get into a specific industry for a while, applying for 30 to 40 jobs in a city with 3 million people. I'm in my late 20s, and after taking time to figure out what I wanted to do, I finished my degree and completed 2 internships. I'm working part-time and freelancing, while looking for a full-time job in that industry. I'd move for the right job, but I'd prefer to stay close to home. Last summer, I was excited to get an interview for one of the few entry-level jobs available in my city. I didn't get it, but the interview went well, and they encouraged me to apply next time. Then a friend who works at the company called me for coffee. I thought she'd give me tips on how to improve, but instead, she told me to give up on ever getting hired there. It turns out a girl I went to high school with is doing really well at this company and threatened to quit. When it looked like I might get a job offer, I didn't recognize her because her married name is different. Honestly, I wasn't very nice back then and probably treated her badly. I looked up her resume and it's impressive. She graduated early and has awards that people with way more experience haven't won. Her work is top-notch. I can see why a manager would want to keep her. My friend's prediction was right. I didn't get an interview for a new position that would have been a great fit. When I asked why, I was told someone raised concerns and they wouldn't move forward with my application. I'm heartbroken. I worked hard for the training I needed for this job, and I don't think I should be blacklisted for something I did when I was 17. I have my former classmate's work email. Should I reach out for forgiveness? Some comments. Commenter 1. When OP says she was probably awful to the girl, it seems she doesn't fully remember what she did. This happens with some bullies. What seems like nothing to them can stick with victims for years. I got a message once from someone who wanted to reconnect. He remembered me as a good friend, while I remember him as a bully who haunted my dreams. I don't think OP should apologize unless she remembers what she did. Commenter 2. I didn't get the feeling OP was applying for a job similar to her classmates. It seemed like it was a more entry-level position. Commenter 3. Social isolation is tough. It's why being alone is considered torture. Being cut off from friends can really hurt, and I feel for Rockstar now. Commenter 4. I noticed OP didn't call herself a bully. She just said she wasn't very nice. Plenty of people weren't nice to me in school but didn't bully me. So, based on what OP described, it doesn't sound like bullying, just unkindness. Commenter 5. It's interesting how OP's ex-classmate called her best friend when OP didn't feel the same. There are people who cling to others and push for close relationships, which can create awkward situations. It's not easy for a teenager to manage friendships while setting boundaries. Update 7.5 months later. I know you didn't ask for an update, but I felt the need to share. I wrote to you in the spring because I was struggling to break into the industry. We're my high school classmate. I bullied as a rock star. I wanted to know if apologizing would help me get a job. Following your advice, I deleted the apology email I was holding on to. I applied for one more job at Rockstar's company, but when I didn't hear back, I realized it was time to look elsewhere. I found a place 7 hours away that needed someone for a paid 9-month fellowship starting in June because the original candidate found a permanent job. I said goodbye to my boyfriend, packed up my car with my 2 cats, and drove to a town I'd never been to. I hated it, not the work. I loved it, but the town was terrible. Being away from my boyfriend and family was hard, and I couldn't make friends. Everyone my age was married with kids. I called my boyfriend crying every night. He was supposed to visit me over Labor Day, but cancelled last minute because of work. Seeing how upset I was, a co-worker offered to swap shifts so I could visit home for the long weekend. I drove home after work on Friday. Arriving at the place, I shared with my boyfriend just after 1 a.m. You probably guessed it. He was cheating on me. I was heartbroken and spent the night crying on my sister's couch. The next morning, I returned to work but couldn't get out of bed on Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday. I was fired after not showing up 3 times. I tried to get my old part-time job back, but they found someone faster and better. I couldn't afford to live alone, so I went back to my parents' house. Not knowing what to do, I sent another desperate application to Rockstar's shop to cheer me up. My sister and friends took me out for dinner for my birthday at the end of September. That's when things went from bad to worse. I drank too much wine and got really emotional. I excused myself to collect myself and ran into Rockstar and her husband, celebrating their anniversary in the bathroom. I ended up yelling at her that she ruined my life. They asked me to leave and told me I wasn't welcome back. That was Saturday night. I spent Sunday in bed, trying to figure out how to fix things. On Monday, Rockstar's manager emailed me to say I was out of the running for the job I applied for. She said I wouldn't be considered for any future positions. Later that afternoon, Rockstar tweeted about how she had been bullied in high school, encouraging kids to realize that high school ends and things do get better. She also shared links to mental health resources that got a lot of attention. So to sum it up, no job, no boyfriend, no money, and no hope of getting into the industry I spent 5 years preparing for. It feels unfair, especially since Rockstar added to my pain after everything fell apart. Editor's note. Allison shared OP's comment on the update post. Additional information from OP. Thanks for sharing my update. I've read the comments but haven't had the energy to respond. Things haven't improved much. I'm staying with my sister, but I have to move out in January because she's having a baby and needs her guest room back. I'm not sure what I'll do then. I probably need therapy, but I can't afford it. I reached out to an old high school friend to see if I was really that bad to Rockstar. She said, You really weren't nice to her. I found out that Rockstar ran away from home for a while to escape me but returned to play on a school team. I'm trying to let go of my resentment, but it's hard. I think about unfollowing her on Twitter, but she has a lot of followers and is often retweeted. She's a prominent voice in our community. I got a little break last month when she went on vacation and wasn't posting much. But it reminded me that I've never had a job with paid vacation before. I exist. I know some people doubt someone could mess up this badly. Yes, it can happen. I changed some details to protect our identities, but I have proof. Third story. My boyfriend, who is a bit delusional, played a prank about being married to test my loyalty, and now he's begging me to take him back after I broke up with him. I'm a 28-year-old female, and I went on a date with a 30-year-old male. We met for breakfast and then hit the road since it was a long drive. Everything was going well. We were listening to music and enjoying ourselves. Then he got a phone call. His phone was connected to the car's Bluetooth, and I saw that the caller ID said, "My wife." My stomach dropped. We had been dating for 7 months, and he never showed any signs of being married. He didn't answer and let it go to voicemail. My mood changed instantly, and when he asked what was wrong, I told him I saw who called and that he needed to call her back right away. He tried to say it was his brother, but I didn't believe him because it clearly said "my wife." He showed me his recent calls, which said "big bro," but when the call first came through, I was staring at it, shocked. I looked away because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It's possible he changed the name quickly. I insisted he call the number, but he wouldn't show me. He called someone and I heard a guy's voice. We started arguing. He kept saying he didn't have a wife and didn't know how that happened. When we arrived at our destination, I tried to forget it, but I couldn't shake it off. If he hadn't shown me his phone at all, I would have just taken an Uber home. We left earlier than planned, and he kept trying to explain, but I couldn't forget seeing "my wife" calling. I told him I needed some space to think about what happened. Am I overreacting, or is this a messed up prank? TLDR. I went on a date and saw my wife calling on his Bluetooth. I confronted him, but he denies everything and says it was his brother. He apologized, but I don't believe him. Am I overreacting? Top comments. NBC, why would that even be a prank? Have you been to his house? Out with his friends. Some people do use funny names for people in their contacts, but changing a name quickly would take effort that you'd notice if you were sitting next to him. You were right to take time for yourself. Trust your instincts. Uncore M3485. As a married man, I've never saved my wife's contact as "my wife." My married friends usually use their names or a nickname. It's not impossible, but it's odd. Blonde humanoid. Could he have had a missed call from Big Bro right before picking you up and deleted it from the call log? Update. After my post, I listened to my gut and took a step back. I told my ex that I couldn't look at him the same way after that trip and needed space. He kept sending long messages saying he loved me, but never explained the "my wife" situation. I took Reddit's advice and did some digging. He's not on social media, but I found him on True People Search. Turns out he really isn't married, which I suspected. I've dated enough to know when someone is hiding something big, and this didn't feel like that. So, I called him to get the truth. He put Big Bro on the phone, who tried to claim the car saved his contacts, and that's why I saw my wife calling. Total nonsense. When I called him out, Big Bro left the call, and I got into another fight with my ex. I told him I was done and thought that was it. Wrong. He kept sending long messages, begging to see me and calling, which I ignored until he finally said he'd tell me the truth. At that point, I just wanted the truth because I knew what I saw and felt like. I was being manipulated. It turned out it was all a test. There was no wife, girlfriend, or anyone significant in his life. He admitted to making it all up because I had been pulling away, and he wanted to see if I really cared. He was crying, saying he didn't mean for it to go this far. Honestly, I felt relieved because I had started to doubt myself, and I was right to trust my instincts. But that didn't change things. I ended the relationship again, and he went right back to his long messages, so I blocked him. It's over. The lesson here is to always trust your gut. To answer some questions, no, I've never been to his house because I only do that if I see something serious happening. This isn't the first time he's tested me, so I already had doubts. Yes, I've met Big Bro before, but we weren't close. It turns out he was in on it the whole time. No, this isn't made up. TLDR, it was a test. There was no wife. I ended things. He kept chasing, and I blocked him. Always trust your instincts. Some comments. Writing Encore. So his goal was what? To see if you'd stay with him even if he had a wife? That's messed up. OP. I really don't know. Who would stay in that situation? L. Maybe he had a girlfriend and got caught. Maybe he was trying to prepare me for cheating or just wanted to get rid of me. I have no idea. He said it was to see if I cared, like my reaction would prove my feelings. It doesn't make sense and feels manipulative, and I'm done with it. Thanks for reading. If you want to hear more stories like this, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with your friends.